Howdy Fixers, so today we're going after the brakes on this 2015 Toyota Corolla, and this car is from back east somewhere because there was a lot of rust, so I'm assuming there's going to be some problems with the rust on the rotors. Why it's having some noise, so we're going to try to get these tires off. So when it comes to tires, sometimes they get stuck on with the rust or whether on the hubs. You can kick them like this, but sometimes they are stuck. So if you use a little bit of WD-40 or something like that, or some Enforce, which I have as a BG product, spray in the holes here around the hub, you can knock some of it loose, it'll penetrate in there and knock the surface rust off, and then you can kick it with the back of your foot like I was doing, and it'll knock the tire off.
So I'm over on the West Coast and see too much of this. This is what like your rust belt stuff is. Stuff just falling apart. Pretty cool stuff. So let's get new rotors. So when you get the rust belt stuff, you get like these ridges. That ridge there.
So these ridges, they'll build up and they'll cause your rotors to make an uneven surface for your pads to ride on, and you'll have like a vibration. So I got my socket here on the back. I'm taking off the caliper slide bolt here. I'm taking those off, taking the top one off. I'm going to pry back here with a screwdriver to get some of the pressure off the piston, and it should allow it to slide off. And I'm going to slide my caliper pins back and forth, make sure they're lubricated like they should be. So as you can see with the caliper out of the way here, it's pretty bad. And here, that's what I was talking about. You have these ridges with the rust buildup, and they'll actually cause like a disc brake pulsation. And so it happens. The only way to get around this is you have to replace the rotor and the pads. Maybe you could surface them, but that's pretty far into there. So I'm taking the caliper mounting bracket bolts out. They're 17 millimeters. Taking these out so that I can lube my guides, and then I can make everything right. And then I can also take off my rotor. Alright, so sometimes these bolts are stuck on really good, or these rotors are. So you get these bolts here, you throw them in these holes, and you're able to push them out like an impact or something like that. It makes it easy for them to remove. So being this has a whole bunch of rust, I'm going to clean all the contact surfaces, make sure I don't have any buildup of rust, so there's not like a vibration after I put all this stuff back together, or something doesn't line up quite right. So we're just cleaning up all the rust I can on the mounting surfaces of any of these new components. So on my slide pins, I'm going to take these out, I'm going to lube these up, and also with my contact points for my new hardware, I'm going to go ahead and put some grease on there also so that everything slides good. Like I did before on my new hardware, I'm going to clean out all the rust so that I can put my new hardware on here and it's not going to be any issues. Alright, so the new rotor's on, so I'm going to clean off all the packing grease that's on these rotors that come over from overseas, and then we're going to put our stuff back together. So on our new pads, you got to kind of like put them in sideways and rotate in because they're just a little bit bigger, but that's how you're supposed to do it, so there's a nice snug fit. Just put them in sideways a little bit and then rotate them in. So as you can see here, that's how they're all back together. So now I'm going to put my bolts back in and torque them to spec, and then go on to the other side and push back my caliper still. What we recommend is that you put Loctite on these bolts so they don't vibrate loose for some reason. So that's what I did, and I torqued it to spec. I got to torque it to 80 foot-pounds. So I'm pushing back my caliper here with my caliper depressing tool. So we're pushing everything back here so it can be flush, and then I'll go over my pads easier. If you don't push it back, it won't go over your new pads because there's more friction material than there was with your old pads. Okay, now we're on the other side, and I'm going to do the exact same process that I just did to the other side, to this side. So it's just going to be a quick breeze through. I'm going to take all this stuff off. Here's my pads. They look just as bad as the other side did. There's all these grooves inside the pads. That's due to this buildup of rust. So then we're going to go ahead and go to the other side. I mean, the other side, but we're going to take this apart and do what we did to the other side.
A feature in April. It's live on Android and iOS devices for nearly 2 seconds.
So now we're going to do the exact same thing we did earlier. We're going to put our pads in, cock them in sideways, and put them into place. And then we're going to go ahead and torque them up to spec. Alright, so now we're going to torque this up. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please give me a comment below, and be sure to check out my next video. So thanks for watching.
Fixer good.
Yeah, fixer. Be your own.